So when you do your HA training courses, can you give us a kind of a brief overview of the types of things? Like, where do you start? And, I'm assuming you get more advanced towards the end. How does that work?
And is it like a day? Is it a couple hours? Is it a weekend? Is it a multiple? Kind of what does that even look like too, maybe?
Well, I would have to say the training is a lifetime.
Gotcha.
Oh, yes. Touche.
Well, but the reason I say that is because we have 5 days of training.
Okay.
And there's a lot that goes on. And frankly, it probably should be a semester course in a college somewhere.
Gotcha.
And we've actually talked to a couple of colleges about that, writing a textbook and all of it.
Mhm.
But so the overview of the course is that I do everything in my power to tell you, to teach you everything you need to know. But what pieces stick on your brain,
Mhm.
well, that's kind of up to you. So frankly, we do have some guys that come back to the class and periodically, and it's good because once you understand the basics, then you can start understanding all the little details and the little junctions, the little decision points where you have to decide if you're going to do one thing or the other.
Yeah.
And so I won't lie, it's a complicated class, but
Mhm.
the overview on it is that day one, uh, we call it the HT1, and we're probably going to change the name to the HC1 since it seems like cinema has overtaken theater for
Yeah,
the.
right.
And so we on that day, it's really designed for just about anybody.
Mm.
Uh, we go through and we explain a lot of the basics. Okay, and that's maybe an hour of that or so. But then we get into I think a very rigorous overview of what is important about designing a theater.
Mhm.
How do we come up with this idea about where the seats go? And oddly enough, where the subwoofers go kind of simultaneously, because a lot of people don't realize that. But your seating locations and your subwoofer locations are inextricably commingled. And by being forced because of some issue in the room or some desire on the part of your client to have the seats in a certain place, that's going to create issues, particularly in the low frequency range where your subwoofers work. And we can compensate for a lot of those issues before we even talk about equalizing. We can move the subs to help fill in
Mhm.
those issues. So anyway, and it's a for day one is a full overview. We even touch on acoustical treatments at the end.
Mhm.
Day 2 and 3 is what we call our HC2 class, or HT2 class is how it's labeled currently. And that begins with a 1 day workshop on how to calibrate.
Okay.
So in 1 day, we teach people how to properly calibrate a system.
Mhm.
And then the second day which is really the third day, uh, we go back and recover all the things we talked about in day one, all the things we talked about in day two, and do a deep dive.
Mhm.
And we explain why. Where did this originate? How does this stuff, what's the science behind what we did?
Mhm.
You know, and then the last 2 days is our advanced workshop. And I basically take a small group, usually six, and throw them in a room, no treatment. The system's kind of messed up,
Mhm.
and they have to go through and
Nice.
redesign it,
Mhm.
recalibrate it. And
Right.
of course, we have a script for that. So,
Okay.
and that's a lot of fun.
Cool.
That is a
Like
lot of
very
fun.
hands-on, which is really cool.
Yeah, three
So
days of
and
hands
problem
on.
solving. Very
I'll
cool.
tell you, so far, that sounds like the funnest class that
Yeah.
I've,
Yeah,
like,
Let
I
me
would
some
tell
have
people
you,
were
so
saying
fun.
that too.
Yep.
I'm not bragging when I tell you most people have a ball.
That's
They
awesome.
really, and there's a lot of laughter.
Mhm.
There's some crying,
Sure.
but not too much. And
Yeah.
I enjoy the heck out of it. I do it, yeah, I'd
Yeah.
I'd want to
You
keep
know,
on doing it.
You know what's funny is back when I was in college, my buddy went to UCLA, and he's like, "Hey, there's a class here on Tupac and his lyrics as poetry. It's a poetry class." I'm like, "Dude, can we sneak into that?" And he's like, "Yeah, it's like 150 people. Nobody will know we're in there, and it's a big auditorium." So I used to go to UCLA just to jump into like classes. There was another one the following semester about the Beatles and their music and lyrics and stuff like that. So I was like, "Man, this is awesome." Until I went one time and my car got stolen, and then it was no longer awesome, and that all stopped.
That's funny. They're like,
Yeah.
we know he's in class. I'm gonna take his car.
Well,
USC is in
just to
South
say, I
Central.
go to as many classes as I can too.
Yeah.
I at CD Expo, I always try to slip in and see what is going on. I pretty soon I should be able to spell video. So, but no,
How many
it's
how many of you guys out there would be interested in the class that he just mentioned there?
I think a lot of them would. Some people have been asking what the price is.
There's a ton of questions over here in the comments, Chana. So anytime you want to bring some up, that'd be good.
yeah, we're working on we're revising that because I mentioned that we're having this discussion with CEDIA, not making an announcement about that, but we're actually looking at kind of trying to streamline things and revise the prices, get a hold of it. The current pricing is on the homeacoustics.net website.
Okay.
And but like I said, we're looking at revising that because we may have a more efficient model if we can partner up.
There, look at all these people. Count me in. Count me in. But
Hey,
he hasn't
come
said
on
the price.
down.
It could be the price could be like, okay, never.
That's
I'll just stand on the price.
$1 million.
So it's homeacoustics.net, correct?
Homeacoustics.net.
Okay, cool. So you guys can go check that out.